All right, let's ask the important question. And I'm glad here you put this on the rundown.
Is Mike Tomlin being fired or is he quitting?
Breach. Is it time for the Steelers to change their quarterback strategy?
What is my option? Keep Mason Rudolph?
I guess Brenson was a huge Mason Rudolph fan because he has moonwalked out of the chat for a moment. Well, Mason's contract is up. Kenny Pickett still has 2 more years left in his rookie deal. So, and you have Mitchell Trubisky. And you pick 21st right now. And I mentioned this, I tweeted this out. Literally in the middle of that 52-yard Josh Allen run, I was thinking to myself, the Steelers have to find a way to trade up to get Jayden Daniels. And if you haven't watched a lot of college football, Jayden Daniels played at LSU, transferred from Arizona State. He was sort of run out of town at Arizona State, and he was fantastic this year. And he reminds me a lot of Lamar Jackson. Go watch some highlights on YouTube if you haven't seen it. If you have seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And my thinking is you can't win in today's NFL with a pocket passer. No disrespect to Mason, who has actually been fun to watch the last 4 games. So do they need to change up the quarterback strategy? Is Mike Tomlin too stubborn to do so? What do you think?
Well, I think part of it is probably Tomlin seems like a guy who's too stubborn to do so. He sticks with his guys. And I mean, you know this more than I do, but look, he rode the Kenny Pickett train until he was forced to get off it and then said, all right, Mason Rudolph's going to start here. Mason Rudolph wins a game, and it's like, well, we can't send Mason back to the bench. Kenny has to be 100%. Mason Rudolph wins another game, and now Pickett is 100%. But at that point, you can't turn around. And now you have Mason Rudolph starting in the playoffs. So I think that's a huge thing that they're going to have to consider going into the offseason. And, you're mentioning the draft, but what are they picking? Like 20th? 21st overall. Where's Jayden Daniels going in this draft?
You're going to trade up a long-ass way. Don't get me wrong. It's going to cost you.
Right. So is that even something you would want to consider if you're the Steelers?
Why would you want to keep a mediocre? And the other thing you failed to mention, and I appreciate you not mentioning it, Matt Canada. They had to literally tie him to a train car to get him out of town.
I think there's 0% chance they make a quarterback move this offseason.
You think they roll with Kenny Pickett and Mason Rudolph?
I mean,
Mason's out of contract.
Imagine if, and obviously this didn't happen because he won an MVP, but imagine if Lamar Jackson had started the way Kenny Pickett started in the same sort of transitional timeline that Ozzie Newsome and Eric DaCosta had. The Steelers just went to the playoffs and Pickett was hurt. That I can't see a path where they blow the whole thing up unless there's some they hire Jim Harbaugh because Mike Tomlin steps away and he was like, I'm only doing this if I can draft whoever I want. Kenny Pickett's going to his 3rd year. It would be really.
I'll just say this.
I don't disagree. Look, I don't disagree with you that they maybe should draft a quarterback.
Well,
I don't think they will.
If Lamar played like Kenny, they should stick with. They should have stuck with Lamar. Lamar's never played like Kenny. That's the problem.
But they made the playoffs with a hurt Kenny Pickett.
What? They made the playoffs with Mason Rudolph. He won the last 3 games.
Kenny Pickett was hurt.
2 games prior to that, it was Mitch Trubisky who lost 2 games.
Right, but I'm just saying they have a quarterback who's going into his 3rd year of his rookie contract. They finished 9-8 and made the playoffs, and that quarterback got hurt. That is not a situation where you draft a quarterback. It's just not in the NFL on a normal basis. Like, wouldn't you be surprised? I saw your tweet, and I don't disagree with it. I think it's a great idea. Trade up and go get a guy that you believe can be a franchise quarterback, because I agree with you. Kenny Pickett ain't it. But I would be surprised if they actually did the trade, like actually made that move. That's one, not very Steelers-ish. And 2,
a low low probability event. I agree with that.
Yeah, no. I mean, I think if anything, this is my argument for why Mike Tomlin should walk away or might walk away and be like, I just need to recharge my battery, Sean Payton style. He's like, Kenny Pickett ain't it. I've got a good enough defense.
Why don't you trade up and get a quarterback and a deep quarterback?
But it's not his call.
It's Omar. You don't think that he makes personnel decisions?
I don't think he has final say on draft decisions. Omar
I know that he has a very big say in draft decisions. If he wanted to get a quarterback, he could go get one. You're muted.
Brinson is
all
muted.
these probably because I tried to say no bleep. He has input into the draft.
I think your mic went out. I hear you, but I think did you switch the settings?
Brinson's computer broke down because we started talking about the Steelers QB situation.
He's the Kenny.
Well,
Pickett
here's the
of
thing: if
computers.
you're the Steelers,
You know what you're saying? This fixed now. I don't know why.
there you go.
I hear what you're saying. Obviously, no effing bleep. Mike Tomlin has some say in the personnel decisions at the Steelers. He's been there for like 20 years, but he can't say, I want a quarterback, go get one, and the franchise will do it. That's not how that works. And you're being disingenuous if you suggest that.
Yeah, I wasn't
Do you,
suggesting that.
do you think the Steelers will trade up and go get Jaden Daniels?
Here's what I'll say. In 2019, I think it was, they traded from 20 to 10 to get Devin Bush, a linebacker.
Yeah.
So 21 to 8 doesn't sound outrageous. To Breach's point, Mike Tomlin is stubborn, and I don't think it's going to happen either. That doesn't mean they shouldn't think about it. They kept Matt Canada for a year and a half too long.
I think David Tepper should think about selling the Panthers, but he's not going to do it.
Well, Brinson, you're also making it sound like Omar Khan doesn't watch film or understand football. If he's sitting there, yeah, because you're saying he wouldn't even consider moving on from his quarterback. And here's the thing: if you are a Steelers team that went 9-8 in 2022 and went 10-7 this year, if you sit down with Mike Tomlin and you're saying, "Man, we went 10-7 in spite of our quarterback, not because of our quarterback," and we feel like we could take a huge jump with improved quarterback play, then I do think you would have to give it some serious consideration because you're a playoff team with a below average quarterback. What are you going to be with an average quarterback or a slightly above average quarterback?
I'm with you 100%. The Steelers don't have the answer at quarterback in the quarterback room right now. But I also think that you're really underselling the idea of if Omar Khan is not on the hook for Kenny Pickett. Kevin Colbert is. Kevin Colbert's on the.
Well, Omar Khan was in the organization. It wasn't like he came from out of the organization.
No kidding, Wilson. Why are you doing this? Little,
well, I don't know,
but who was the GM who drafted Kenny Pickett? It was Kevin Colbert.
So would that make them more likely to move on?
The exact same thing that the Ravens did. Ozzie Newsome drafted Lamar Jackson. That way, his handpicked successor would get the credit if he was good. They would share in the credit, but you could always deflect blame if he was bad. The Steelers tried to do the same thing. Kenny Pickett hasn't worked out, but I think it would be surprising if Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin agreed to trade future first-round picks to move up and grab somebody like Jaden Daniels in the top 10 when you have a guy that your predecessor picked early on, even if he doesn't look like he's that good.